welcome to Rihanna Roach Radio. Today, I am going to share a little bit more about my wilderness immersion and the solo vision quest that I went on earlier, or not that long ago, a couple of months ago now. And it's something that has taken a little while for the learnings to integrate. And honestly, I don't know if I can actually share in words, the full extent of what I experienced on this journey that I went on with an amazing group of women. So just to put some context to it, it was a 9-day immersion in the wilderness in the Grampians in Victoria, Australia. And as a part of that 9 days, each person that came on this journey went on a solo vision quest for 3 days. So the 3 days was 3 days, 3 nights with no food and completely alone in your own spot. So we were all within a space where, would be able to be found, but we were alone. We weren't allowed to take journals or anything like that. We weren't allowed to take anything because this was about us, connecting to us and connecting to nature and allowing, any vision or any words of wisdom to come through nature and come through ourselves. So it was a huge experience. And for me personally, I hadn't even really been camping properly prior to going on this experience. So I was quite green, quite fresh to the whole experience. But I knew deep inside that this is something that was the next part of my journey. And I'd had this calling, to connect to nature. And I had slowly been doing that, but I knew I needed to do it on a deeper level. And I needed to connect to women as a part of this journey. And it's exactly what this process was about. So over the 9 days with a beautiful group of women, we did ceremonies, we sung, we sat around the fire, we went kayaking on the beautiful lake. We ate a lot and basically just enjoyed each other's company while exploring, who we are and our connection to nature. But it's the 3 days that I want to talk just a little bit about the vision quest. Now, prior to the vision quest, we were doing a lot of inner work and sharing around this inner work with the group as to an intention. Why are you here? And it took a little while for me to get the intention out, to be honest. It felt hard for me to find the intention other than that I wanted to connect to nature, to the wilderness, to the earth. But I knew it was more than that. And I started, or the women that were running this group, the beautiful women, 4 of them, was really pulling it out of me. And I did get a bit of an intention out, but I knew it was watered down. I can't even remember the words that I said initially. But the moment that I got out on my site, my solo site, the words just flooded into me. I was here to remember the wild woman within and to connect to nature, the wilderness, the wild woman. And for me, prior to getting out there on that solo site, the words wild woman scared me. Like there's this, I guess for me, there was all this, preconceived ideas of what a wild woman is. There's this in society, there's this preconceived idea, around the wild woman who's crazy, who, maybe goes out drinking, that type of wild woman. And look, I've been her in the past. But then the other side of the wild woman, which I also didn't feel like I was ready for, is this natural woman, this woman who truly embodies her whole body, this woman who's connected to the earth, this woman who is connected to the cycles and seasons, this woman who isn't afraid to be wholeheartedly who she is. And so this scared me. But the moment I got out on site, I was like, fuck yes. This is what I'm here for. And yeah, so that's how it started for me. And over the 3 days, it was really about beginning to embody this wild woman and explore the notion of what the wild woman is for me. And so I want to talk firstly just about my experience, not in relation to the intention as well. So for me, the experience was actually fun and joyful. And I know some of the women had a completely different experience to me, and that it was hard and dark and deep. But for me, the first day, which was sunny, was beautiful. And for me, the first day was all about rest and relaxation. And literally, I was lying on the ground in the sun, sunbaking. Other than the flies, it was a beautiful day of doing nothing. And my body was adjusting to fasting. So I did feel completely fatigued. So it was good that, this is the type of day that I had. And I just enjoyed it. I just enjoyed being in the sun, in nature, doing nothing. So yeah, that was day one. Day two, the fatigue really hit and I started to feel really nauseous. So the body was definitely in some sort of detox mode. And I have to say that I didn't enjoy particularly the last part of day two as much because I was feeling quite ill. But day two was all about, now I have to remember because it was a little while ago. For me, day two was all about, just beginning to explore this wild woman. So, as a part of the solo, we had sort of a circle that we were meant to stay in, a 7 meter circumference circle. But I did venture out, and I ventured out to places that were in sort of view that were calling me. I could see visions of things. I saw a vision of. Bridget. So if anyone knows who she is, a woman of the past, a goddess. And I saw her red hair. So I walked towards where I saw her and I explored that space and, what did this space mean to me? And there was all these, learnings that came up from this space that she called me to. At one point, I saw, and these are just visions that I saw. I saw the Mother Mary in in a tree, and so I explored this tree and what the symbol of Mother Mary meant to me, in a non-Christian or non-organized religion sense. So I explored that and what she meant to me. And then at one point, I was called just by, just these rocks. I sort of walked out towards these rocks, and the site that I had picked was very bare. And it took me a long time to find this site. And I had initially been called to these other sites where there was all these beautiful wildflowers. And the beauty of all these sites were calling me. But then when I got there, I just didn't feel like it was my site. So it was almost like I was a little bit disappointed when I found my actual site that it was quite bare. There was a couple of big, beautiful trees, but it was quite open. And it was almost like, when I looked out from my site, it looked like the African savanna, like it was open and vast, and there was a few big trees that I could see. But that was it. There was no wildflowers. There was no, none of that colorful beauty that usually attracts me. I'm quite an aesthetic person. I like aesthetics. I like beauty. I like color. So that was a little bit disappointing. But then these rocks called me at a certain point, and I started walking towards these rocks. And as I got to these rocks, I saw this little group of wildflowers down on the floor. So I walked towards them because I was drawn by the beauty of these wildflowers. And as I got to these wildflowers, I noticed, a little bit further ahead, there was this other sort of fallen tree branch and a couple of big rocks, but I could see flowers poking up from behind them. So when I walked a little bit further, I peeked around and there was this bountiful, beautiful garden of wildflowers. All of the wildflowers that I had seen in previous spots were all there, were all within my reach. I just had to go a little bit further. I just had to dig a little bit deeper. I just had to explore that little bit further. And for me, the meaning that I took from this is about my journey, and it was that, I just have to keep going, and that the bountiful garden of abundance, whatever abundance means, whether it be financial or love or just abundance in life, is just around the corner. And I just have to see what I've already got and keep going to find the next bountiful, beautiful garden. So that was day two. It was all about exploring and taking the learnings from the natural world around me, and it was a lot of fun. Day three, and I got to day three, and I guess I'd got to this point where I was like, okay, well, maybe I'm not going to have or get any of these big grand visions that I sort of expected. So I let go of all these expectations, and I got to the point where I was like, if this is it, if this is all I get from this this beautiful journey, then I am truly grateful and I am truly happy that I came on this. And so I got to this point where I was just ready to enjoy another day. Honestly, was it day 2 or day 3? It hailed. Actually, day 2, it hailed. I was told, I didn't know, because every time it started to rain, I just dived into my tent and actually slept. Like, I had so much sleep on this vision quest. It was beautiful. So I didn't know. But on day 3, it's when the vision, started to come through. It's when all the words, the wisdom started to come through. And the reason why fasting is usually a part of a vision quest is because it it thins the veil, if you like. It thins the connection to the wisdom of the spiritual or of the natural world. And so I guess I'd got to a point, day 3, I felt energized again. I wasn't fatigued anymore. I felt really good. And that's when clarity started to come in. I started to receive all of these messages, from being out on the land. And the main messages, that I was receiving is that my journey as a woman, my healing, my growth, my spiritual journey is what I am here to share and is what I am here to write about, to talk about, and to work with other women with. And for me, this was already a huge, drop of wisdom, because I was already questioning whether or not, it's men or women I'm meant to be working with. And I feel it's both. But a huge part of my journey now is going to be working with women and helping them, walk a path towards their true self. And the words "she remembers" has come to me many times, and this is going to be my third book that I need to start again and start writing again. But "she remembers" is what came to me again, and I'd never really knew what "she remembers" was meant to be. And I'd started writing this book, and I wrote 17,000 words, and out on wilderness in this vision quest on day 3, I was like, I've written the wrong words. It's not it. I need to scrap it and start again. So I've scrapped it and I'm starting again. And I've kept the words in case I want to use them for something else. But it's not going to be my book. I feel like it was maybe a distorted view, maybe, I'm not sure, but it's not the words that are meant to be within this book, "She Remembers." And "she" is going to be a play on the word "she" and "he." So this book, while it's going to be predominantly about the divine feminine, is going to be written in a way that men can read it as well, and explore, the divine feminine and learn about the divine feminine as well. So that's what came to me. And the main part then about "She Remembers" that came to me is that I've been on this journey, and I'm still on the journey, very much so. But I've been on this journey of connecting to the divine feminine. And as a part of this journey, I've moved through and am continuing to move through 4 very distinct stages, if you like, or archetypes. And these are the 4 archetypes that I'm going to be working with in 2024 as a part of the new offerings I'm going to offer under the title of "She Remembers." And these archetypes I've started to share on social media. These archetypes are the awakened woman. So that was, where I started, awakening to a whole new way of life, taking responsibility for myself, seeing the patterns, undoing all of the ancestral trauma. That's where it started for me. There's obviously a whole lot more in there. And then it's the feminine woman, remembering my femininity, embodying my femininity, healing the feminine and the masculine, healing the mother and father wound, healing my connection to men and to the external masculine, and opening and operating from a place of love rather than from a place of fear. And then there's the spiritual woman, the connection to the divine, not just about light and ascension, but about, the shadows, the darkness, and descending into the depths of the soul, and about connecting to my intuition, my soul gifts, exploring spirituality and spirit and everything like that. So, I'm still very much deep within that, and embodying the spiritual woman. And then there's the wild woman, the reason why I was on the vision quest in the first place. I didn't know it, but I was there to begin to remember the wild woman within, because we all women have this wild woman within. And so now I'm here to explore my wild woman, what that means to me, the natural woman, as I said, the woman connecting to the seasons, to nature, the woman who practices ceremony and gives back to the earth, the woman who does all of this natural stuff, is connected to her cycles, is completely liberated within her body. This is the wild woman that I'm here to now embody within my own journey and then help women begin to explore that themselves. So these 4 archetypes are my own archetypes that obviously I've come up with and have been a part of my journey. But unlike other archetypal journeys, oh, there's dogs going in the background. Unlike other archetypal journeys, the journey that I'm going to be offering through these archetypes is to explore your truth self within these archetypes, if that makes sense. So you don't have to be one. You don't have to embody one completely or all 4 completely. Each archetype is just going to give different bits of yourself that you can explore and remember. And each woman's expression of the archetypes will be completely different. Each woman's natural, authentic self is going to look very different. But these archetypes are going to provide some foundation or some framework for women to begin to explore their true selves, to begin to heal, to begin to reconnect to themselves and to the divine feminine. So I'm really excited to embark on this journey. And I continue this journey myself. And, I wholeheartedly say that I'm not finished on my journey, and I don't know it all, but I'm committed to walking this path. I'm committed to my soul journey. I'm committed to exploring my truth and to live as the most authentic version of myself. And if I can help other women, explore that and what that looks like for them, then I'm here for that. Yeah. So that's a little bit about the journey. I guess I didn't talk so much about, what happened on site, but the reason why I wanted to talk about it today is that it came up in my dreams again last night, that it's time to start talking about it again. And I want to share some of the things that I took from site. This was the red piece of ribbon that we had to tie on our site to recognize it as our own, our red thread. This was a stick that came from my site. It's a beautiful stick, and this marked my site while I was there, and I took this home to remember my beautiful site out in the bush. This bone I found, I don't know if it's a kangaroo bone or something, but I found this bone not on site, but actually at base camp. And it was almost like a further reminder that this wild woman exists and that I am connected to everything, and that this bone is a symbol of where I'm going. I don't know if that makes sense, but to me it does. And then I have a couple of stones or rocks that were actually taken from, no, one of them was from base camp as a part of our intention setting. And one of them was from my site. And when I hold these rocks, I can feel, the connection firstly to the women that were a part of the journey. I can feel the energy of the earth, of where they came from. And I remember, everything, why I turned up, why I did this solo vision quest, why I embarked on this journey, and why I continue to embark on this journey. So they hold, the energy of that space. So it was truly beautiful. And if you do feel the call to go on a vision quest or to connect to nature, the women that ran the one that I went on, they run it for women only at this point. They're called Wild Earth Magic. And there's 4 beautiful women that run as a part of this group. So Yonka, Artemis, Natasha, and Yvonne, 4 amazing women. And there are men's offerings like this as well. I don't know them off the top of my head, but I think predominantly solo quests were for men. So there's more probably out there for men at the moment if you want to explore a vision quest. I highly recommend it. It's a beautiful offering, and I endeavor to go on it again next year. To dive a little bit deeper. So thank you for listening and for allowing me to share a little bit about my vision quest, my wilderness immersion. I look forward to 2024, She Remembers, and working with women in this space of remembering. Bye for now.